Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. That means, as you know, NXT are getting closer now, or should I say, we're on the road to NXT Battleground this coming weekend. Anything could happen. We haven't forgotten what happened last week. As you know, we saw, of course, Jordynne Grace, the TNA Knockouts World Champion, made her presence as the opponent for Roxanne Perez. But, however, we did see at the end of NXT last week, we saw Ethan Page's presence known, and the biggest shocker was he, in fact, was the one behind the attacks of Noam Dar and Oro Mensah. So anything could happen from here on out before we head to NXT Battleground. But first things first, I want to say we're just going to keep this episode with just 2 reviews. Now, I was unable to add a third due to the time that I've been doing. Apparently, I had some things that kind of took away my time, but nonetheless, we'll be fine because the other review we're going to be doing is ChocoPro number 376. As you all know, Got to Move has brand new tag champions. That's Masahiro Takanashi and Emi Sakura. They will be on the main event to take on 2 wrestlers coming from Australia, making their debut in ChocoPro. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But after that, we're going to be capping up this episode with some news updates. We got some updates to tell you guys what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, and developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics in the world of pro wrestling, such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, it's time to get the show on the road, and let's begin with ChocoPro. Alright, ChocoPro. Now, this particular event took place recently on the 1st of June. It wasn't uploaded on their YouTube channel until the 3rd of June. But as you know, they came off the recent Got to Move show at Shinjuku, and we just crowned brand new Asian Dream Tag Team Champions Emi Sakura and Masahiro Takanashi. So Now it's kind of interesting seeing the Best Bros no longer tag champions, but we'll see where they go next from here. But however, we have some exciting matches taking place. Now, of course, as always, when we see ChocoPro Balinaki opens the show, giving the fans lowdown what's going on. Some of you may ask, how come Mei Shruga was not there? Well, there's a reason why she wasn't there. The reason she wasn't there was because, in fact, she was part of the first match. She teams up with Nonoka Seto to take on, of course, the rookies themselves. Um, Hiroyi Yawada, and of course Iri Kanai. So the match was pretty good. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, the rookies still have a long way to go to improve themselves, show what they can do in the ring. Not to mention, do I see any high expectations about them? I mean, not that high. I mean, they probably will do fine, in my opinion. But when it comes to, of course, Mei Shruga and Nona Kaseto, that's a different story. We know Mei Shruga, she's fantastic. She's a bit of a, likes to do things her way. But and Nona Kaseto, well, there's a lot of expectations towards her. Not to mention, she and her sister are been at the top of discussions on many occasions. But nonetheless, it was a good match. But it was May who, in fact, lay down the punishment on Hiroyi when she applied her submission move, forcing her to tap out. So May and, of course, Nonoka picked up the win. Now, our next match, we have a trios match. We have Chiko Shikawa, Sayaka Obihiro. They team up with Balanaki, which is very unusual. They take on Sayaka, Tokiko Kirihara, and Antonio Honda. Now, the added twist to this match, I don't know what Honda and Tokiko were doing. They were dressing up as Balanaki and, of course, Mei Shruga. So basically, Antonio Honda was wearing an afro and thinking that could match up the hair of Balinaki. I'm sure Balinaki was not happy with the fact that Antonio's trying to get to him. I don't know if he's making fun of him because he lost the tag team belts or tried to irritate him. I don't know. I mean, Antonio Honda has been known to do those type of things in the past, but luckily he did not allow that to get under his skin. But he knew that he had to try to not let him get into his head. But luckily, he was able to rely on his tag partners because it was both Chi and Obi that picked up a double pin. A double pin on one particular person, and that is Sayaka. And as soon as the match was over, when of course Chi, Sayaka, and Obi, and of course Aki, they won. Both Chi and Obi put out their fist bump. Balin's like, okay, so he doesn't know because he knows he doesn't team up with them that often. But yeah, but I feel like maybe they're like, we cool, we're cool. So that's it. Now our next match this is our main event for this one. We have a couple of guys coming from, of course, Australia, Jamie and JME, and of course Champ Phoenix versus our brand new tag team champions, Masahiro Takanashi and Ami Sakura. Now, keep in mind, this match is a non-title match, but however, they can get an opportunity for those tag belts if they were able to defeat them. That's the question of if they can do it. I mean, it's been known to happen many times on various occasions, but you wouldn't think of that often because it was really fun. However, unfortunately, JME actually ended up being power drive by Emi Sakura, of course, winning the match. But I asked myself this question about, of course, the Aussies. How will they do in Jonkin? Well, let's check it out. I mean, they did pretty well. I mean, they did not make it all the way through. Neither did Balian. But I can tell you the two that made it all the way through the finals of the Jonkin tournament was Chi and May. But who was going to walk out? Well, surprise, surprise, it was Chi. Basically, she was able to do it, and she was able to make fun of May for it. But nonetheless, it was a good show, and not to mention the Aussies had a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll see them again some point down the road. I mean, many people who've been in ChocoPro and they look at how the environment is, they will love to go back there. I mean, Dan the Dad is one of them. But nonetheless, it was a fun show. So I think that's pretty much it right now with ChocoPro. I think it's time for NXT. Okay, NXT. As you know, this is possibly the go home show before we get to NXT Battleground. However, of course, there were certain things that were a bit of a buzz from last week. We saw the arrival of Jordan Grace, who was revealed to be the opponent for Roxanne Perez in NXT Battleground for the NXT Women's Championship. We even saw, of course, by the end of the programming last week, Ethan Page, who maliciously attacked Trick Williams, but at the same time revealed he was the one who attacked Oro Menza and Noam Dar. So basically, all the pieces had fit together. Now, Ava Reigns and Mr. Stone were outside of the building. This is how it starts out, where of course they're waiting for Ethan Page. Now, Ava, Ava Reigns, as you know, don't get me wrong, she has doing a fantastic job as a general manager. But her predecessor, um, what's his name, William Regal, kind of gave her like not the warning, but more of the piece of advice, knowing the job is very, very, not demanding, but he knows that there's going to be difficult choices because the entirety of the program we've been seeing Ethan Page were making these demands. I'm sure Ava Reigns does not like these demands, but Trick Williams, on the other hand, he actually said to her, just give him what he wants, and that's what, like, why you have to hold back. So that's the thing. So that was the entirety of what was going on, but we'll get more into that. But we did see Trick Williams earlier, where he was talking to Lash Legends, who, of course, they're feeling like things are going a little hectic between them, but she made it clear that the one thing that she desires is the NXT Women's North American title, and of course, Trick understands where she's coming from. I mean, he's been there before, so he's not going to stop her for that. So, I mean, who knows what the future lies for both of them. But at the moment, we'll keep moving forward. Now, our opening match, of course, we see Jordan Grace taking on Stevie Turner. Now, last week, as you know, when Jordan Grace made her presence known, Stevie Turner questioned why does she get a shot of the NXT Women's title? What has she done? No one knows more about her. She felt like she wants to put her name on the map, so everybody got a win-win situation. But like in between, before Jordan Grace made her presence in the ring for her match, Roxanne Perez was there to watch. I'm sure Roxanne Perez is trying to figure out more about her. But of course, this match ended with Jordan Grace winning when she applied the Juggernaut driver. And of course, Roxanne Perez trying to show her who's boss, but frankly, she has nearly escaped Jordan Grace's raft. But it was great to see that. Now, we did see Jordan Grace a little later where she ran into Michin, who back then was known as Mia Yim, that likes talk. And then, of course, Jordan Grace runs into Sol Ruka. Ruka is a big fan of Jordan Grace, and Grace is a big fan of Sol Ruka, all of this and that. And then Jada Parker shows up saying, oh, she's kissing ass and all that. And, of course, Jordan tells Minchin, you got to deal with that. So, and then, of course, she bumps into Ariana Grace saying that they have the same name. And then she runs into Tatum Paxley. And then, of course, Ariana Grace was saying to her that the belts are not important. Her crown is. And she's like, nope, they're not. So, and of course, she saw the creepiness of Tatum Paxley with looking at the title. But anyway, and we also saw something interesting. We did see Sean Spears talking to certain well, I don't know if you call them rookies, but he was trying to do that. And then of course, we saw last week he was looking at the monitor, and it looked more like he was talking about Josh Briggs, that he's a lost soul that needed guidance. But Spears said that he wasn't the one he was referring to. And Javon Evans was trying to tell Josh Briggs, even though he knows he doesn't need help, but he told him he is not worth it. But we'll get to that in a bit as well. Now, we did see, of course, the summit of the NXT Women's North American title for the ladder match on Battleground. Of course, everybody pleaded their case, and then all hell broke loose. But luckily, Mr. Stone, who I like to say he is Ava Reigns' right hand, laid down law saying that there's going to be a 6-woman tag team match. So, of course, he did report that to Ava, saying that he took care of it. Now, ahead before the NXT Heritage Cup match, we did see Charlie Dempsey talking to himself in the mirror, and everybody's like, "Why are we here?" So he was like trying to do that. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? So I don't know what was going on, but their priority is to reclaim back the Heritage Cup into No Quarter Catch Group. So that's been the biggest thing. Now, our next match, we have Thayhale versus Jasmine Nix. Now, remember, Nix blamed Thayhale after breaking Jay-Z Jane's nose. However, something is happening within JCU. Ever since Rich Holland started hanging out with guys from JCU, Riley Osborne and Duke Hudson seem they're not too keen on him being around. So basically, they showed no support for Thayhale, and it caused Thayhale to lose the match after she applied the Pele. So I wouldn't. Nix could say that she won, but however, trouble is running in paradise within Chase U. Now, earlier we see a footage where Axiom and Nathan Frazier were on selling merch. They were viciously attacked from the Good Brothers. Now, this is ahead of their Battleground event. I'm sure they're trying to soften them up before claiming they could beat them in this way. However, it was later foretold by Ava that they were banned from the building, even though they were supposed to face against DuPont and Igwe. But they are going to be scheduled to be at Battleground. That has been 100% confirmed. Now, we did see the NXT Heritage Cup match happen. Damon Kemp versus Tony D'Angelo. Now, we know that North Quarter Catch Crew are determined to reclaim this belt. But the real question we do know, this is not exactly Tony D'Angelo's forte, being in this thing. But he did get help from their culinary, however you call them, Luca Crucifino, to know more about these rules, and which hopefully it did help. It kind of did. Uh, Tony D'Angelo won with just 2 straight rounds in the first and the second, and the fourth round. Third and fourth, nothing. So you wouldn't expect, but it was interesting how that turned out. Now, we did see Izzy Dame versus Natalya. Now, originally we were supposed to have Carmen Petrovic, but apparently she got hurt. She was in the crutch. But luckily, Natalya was there to show up, and this is what happened. And she won by pinfall. She actually did not use the sharpshooter. And we'll talk more about Natalya a little bit. I think many of you are probably curious about it. Now, we did see Axiom and Nathan Frazier come out saying that they may have been beaten down, but they will get up. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, as I mentioned before, the Good Brothers were supposed to face DuPont and Igwe, but unfortunately they were viciously attacked in the ring by Gallus. And then, of course, Obafemi showed up, then Wesley, then all hell broke loose. Gallus are sending a message that they're not here to play games. So we'll see what happens to them. Now, last week we saw Lexis King, who could not take the loss against Dante Chen twice in 2 weeks in a row. So he tries to justify that he did the right thing and try to show him mercy. But however, Dante Chen refuses to let that go down. But things went out of control, and it went into that. Now, we did see also later on, of course, it was supposed to be, of course, Josh Briggs versus Sean Spears, but things went hectic as well. Sean Spears attacked Josh Briggs in the back, and Javon Evans took matters in his own hands and became the young OG that he is. He took care of business. So I thought it was a lot of interesting things that was happened. So I liked it. It was pretty good. Now, the real question, as you know, coming up to our NXT ladder match for the women's North American title, can these girls get along? We have Lash Legend, Kelani Jordan, and Fallon Henley team up. Now, I don't know if that's a good teaming right there, because Kelani Jordan and Fallon Henley, in the other hand, they used to be friends, but no longer. Jada Parker cannot withstand Minchim, who's teaming up with Soruka. That sort of thing kind of went out of its way. However, we did saw the arrival of Jasmine Nix and Jay-Z Jane wearing the nose protector. We don't know what's the reasons of the arrival, but however, it was Sol Ruka with the Soul Snatcher that put away Lash Legend, giving her the win. But the question does tell, could Sol Ruka actually walk out as the winner at Battleground for the NXT Women's North American title? We just gotta wait and see. Now, of course, the entirety of this story of the entire program, we've been seeing the arrival of Ethan Page. He's been recently been demanding about what he wanted. However, Trick Williams told her just give him what he wants. And of course, Ethan Page had to give his reasons what he did. He saw how, of course, Trick Williams got the spotlight. He was hanging with Carmelo Hayes, but he feels that right now, because NXT lost many of their talents to go to the main roster. So he feels that he's that guy who can fill the void. But the honest question, is he? Because I feel Trick Williams is the one who's currently filling the void. But we'll just gotta wait and see. Now, this was never part of the aired program. This was off the air that many of you may not know. It appears that as soon as the Trick Williams left the ring, Ethan Page was still in the middle of the ring, gracing with his presence. All of a sudden, we saw Oro Mensah attack him. This is payback for what, of course, Ethan Page did, attacking Oro Mensah last week, but also the one who was behind the attack of Noam Dar. I'm sure Ethan Page is not happy. Now, the one thing that does make clear, we do know that, of course, Ethan Page will face Trick Williams for the NXT title. I wouldn't be surprised if Noam Dar or Oro Mensah cost Ethan Page his title match. That will be something we could definitely see somewhere down the line. Because of course Noam Dar will not take likely that his opportunity was taken from him by an egotistical dude like Ethan Page. Well, but however, we will see what happens in Battleground. So I think that's pretty much it right now with, of course, NXT. I think it's time to move on to our last and final thing on this episode, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's get started with the promotions on their upcoming events. First things first, we even though this was a short one, with of course when we start with GCW, update has been made for their upcoming event, Lights Out, on June 14th in Denver. The GCW World Title will be defended. Mance Warner will defend it against Jordan Oliver. Now they even announced for their upcoming event in August in Cleveland, Ohio, Now and Forever. Now, nothing yet has been announced who will participate, what matches will be booked. That's something it's still unclear, but we will get to that as soon as we get closer and closer. Now, interesting developments. We got the interesting schedule for the remainder of this month with Stardom for a few things. Now, apparently they announced their card for this coming weekend on June 8th in Nagoya. We have Maika and Hanako. They take on Mina Shirakawa and Xena as a prelude before their title match in Conversion, I think. We have Saya Kamitani, Lady C, and Miyu Amasaki taking on Natsuko Tora, Momo Watanabe, and Tekla. We have Maya Iwatani, Momo Kogo, and Starlight Kid. They take on Azumi, Mei Sira, and Rian, and they also will take on against members of Cosmic Angels, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Yuna Mizumori. We do have Azuki versus Saya Ida, Koguma versus Hanan, and then we have Saru Noi teaming up with the rookies of Cosmic Angels, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurata. They take on God's Eyes Shuri, Ami Suri, and Saki Kashima. Then we have Konami taking on Rana Yagami. Then, of course, jumping into June 9th on Toyama the following day, Mayu and Azuki and Koguma will face against Maika, Xena, and Hanako. And then we have Saya Kamitani, Azumi, and Starlight Kid teaming up, taking on, of course, Natsuko Tora, Momo Watanabe, and Tekla. Then we have Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Yuna Mizumori taking on Ami Suri, Saki Kashima, and Rana Yagami. We have Shuri and Konami once again teaming up. They take on Lady C and Miyu Amasaki. And then we got Mina versus Mei Sita versus Momokogo versus Rian. And then, of course, we have um, Saya Ida versus Aya Sakura, Hanan versus Sayaka Kurata. Then we jump into the 16th of, no, the 15th of June in Shizuoka. Hopefully I pronounce it right. We have Sayaka Mitani, Lady C, and Miyamasaki once again taking on Odo Tai. Uh, Maika, Zena, and Hanako take on Sayuno, Tam Nakano, and Natsupoi. Then we have Mayutani and Momokogo teaming up, facing off against Shuri and Saki Kashima. Then we have a three-way match: Mina Shirakawa versus Mei Sita and Rian, Azuki versus Hanan, Koguma versus Saya Ida, and then we have uh, Konami, Amisori, and Rana Yagami taking on Cosmic Angels, uh, Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurara. And then we have the 16th of June, Osaka. We have Maika, Hazuki, and Koguma. Interesting pairing. They take on Saya Ida, Hanan, and of course Zena. So that's an interesting match to see. Then we have Kamitani and Lady C taking on Natsuko Tora and Momo Watanabe and Tekla in a handicap match. That's kind of interesting. Tam Nakano and Natsupa along with Starlight Kid team up once again. They take on against Shuri, Konami, and Amisuri. We have Mayu Utani Momokogo taking on Sayuri Noi and of course Sayaka Kurata. Then Mina Shirakawa and Hanako team up to face Saki Kashima and Rane Yagami. Then Mei Sita and Yuna versus Yuna Mizumori and versus Rian, and then Mayu Imasaki versus Aya Sakura. Now we do have some other matches that have been announced for the remainder of the month. For example, we have, of course, New Blood 13. This one will be on YouTube in case anybody's interested. They announced that the New Blood tag team titles, Wingori, better known as Hanan, and of course Saida, will defend their belts against, of course, surprise, surprise, the rookies of Cosmic Angels, Sayaka Kurata and Aya Sakura. So this is going to be interesting to see. I'm sure right now Waka and Hanako are not happy how this is rolling because they've been desiring to get another opportunity. Well, this is what happens. Now we do know that their upcoming event. Then there's the following day, Stardom. The conversion will take place. The three title matches have been announced. The red belt is going to be defended. Micah will defend the belt against Xena, and of course the Wonder of Stardom, Sairinu, will defend it against Mika Iwata, and then of course the Goddesses will be defended. Koguma and Azuki defend their belts against Wingori, Hanan, and Saya. So that has already been said. However, a note has been mentioned. If you guys notice the names, the matches for this weekend and the following weekend, there is one name that's been missing, and I think many of you may or may not notice. Waka Tsukiyama. So apparently she's going to be out of action for the remainder of the month. She will be back by the end of this month or so. Apparently she's going to be requiring surgery. Now, I don't know if this has something to do, if you guys remember, she was in a match against Konami. Konami actually put her in a triangle lancer. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But hopefully she's okay and hopefully she does return, you know, healthy enough and in the speedy recovery. Now, as you all know, this coming weekend we do have, of course, the House of Glory Puerto Rican weekend, which is produced by Mike Santana. A match has been announced for that particular day, and that is, of course, the Crown Jewel Championship. Um, Carlos Ramirez, better known as La Sombra, will defend the belt against the OG Homicide. So that's going to be good. Um, Beyond Wrestling has announced three more names for the Americana show taking place on for July 4th. We have Kroll, Effie, and Alley Catch. So that's going to be fun. Now, finally, this one I have been asking myself for quite a while. As you all know, I talked about Ethan Page. After Ethan Page made his appearance at NXT, it was advertised by Prestige Wrestling for their upcoming event in next month for Combat Clash PDX. Ethan Page was supposed to face against Shelton Benjamin. Now, we don't know what was going on, so apparently people were asking, is this going to be replaced? Sooner or later, something was going to happen. Well, it turned out Prestige Wrestling did confirm, yes, that Ethan Page is now in NXT and all that, and they found a suitable replacement to face Shelton Benjamin, and you guys are probably gonna love it. It's Mike Santana. So I have to say, great choice. So I think that's pretty much it with the updates on the promotion. So let's move on with developments. Now, recently there's been talk about, of course, Tony Khan was on CBS Sports, talked about he would love to have the Motor City Machine Guns back. I mean, we know they made their appearance not a while back, and of course, we all know who they are, and we know they're currently free agents, but nothing has been confirmed yet. I don't know when will that happen, but looks like anything is a possibility when it comes to Tony Khan. Uh, if you guys remember, I mentioned on the last episode Angel Garza's contract with WWE will expiring by the summer. Apparently, his cousin, you guys know him as Humberto Carrillo, his contract will also be expiring by this summer, and this one was confirmed by Fightful Select. So, if this whole thing with both Garza and Humberto, it must be true. So, it would make sense. Now, you guys may have paid attention about Natalya, what she said this past Monday about enough is enough and it's time for a change. Those were phrases that were said by her late uncle, Owen Hart. If you guys remembered, Owen Hart did that. He actually said those phrases many years ago, and I remember that as a kid growing up. Dave Meltzer kind of gave his thoughts about those comments that he says. Put it this way, I seriously doubt they script that knowing that she's going to jump. That would be pretty cool though. Going into the Owen Hart tournament, she actually could do that. Again, I don't know. I don't expect or anything, but she's legally could do it. So basically, what they're talking about is this, folks. There's been reports we know that her contract could be expiring. There's no indications of re-signing, but there's been word coming out that WWE no longer has the no compete clause or something. I don't know if that's 100% true. If anybody knows the answer to that, please leave me a comment. I'd like to know more about it because I'm sure many people don't like those non compete clause things to go away. Um, Marty Gold talent star Kouki Amarie, as you know, recently was already been talked about this. Apparently, she talked about wants to wrestle here in the States, which is something she talked. This is what she says. I have desire to wrestle in America someday. Now that I have become a pro wrestler, is the place I want to aim. After gaining experience in Japan, I don't like deciding the final goal. If if I decide the final goal, I feel it would somehow end there. I set a goal on going to America because I discovered pro wrestling, but that's not my final goal. Life it still goes on. I don't think I'll ever decide the final goal. Okay, I like what she's talking about. I mean, it does make sense. I mean, people say that wrestling in other places is a final goal. I mean, no, it's not. I mean, you don't know what your final goal is, but it's great that she wants to do something like this. But yeah, I'm excited for her. Hopefully she does. I mean, I think many people would think she probably will head to WWE or something. I don't know. We don't know exactly where that's gonna lead. Now, recently there's been talks about, of course, New Japan and all this other stuff and many things about strengthening their relationships with Stardom. That is something that, of course, been mentioned. Um, Also, they talk about the president of Stardom and New Japan, Kidani, was talking about the relationship with AEW and all that. But there's also something else that was caught my attention. Is apparently there was a press conference recently was made by New Japan about Tanahashi's 10-point plans. This is the notes that he put. This is going to be a long one because I know I'm making this news update longer for all of you. Uh, Talent discovery and development. Evaluating the value of the title belts, the reducing of eliminating outside interference. That indicates House of Torture, those scumbags. Then, of course, increasing the prominence and status of the New Japan Hontai, strengthening the ties with Stardom, strengthening the ties with AEW, um, improving the live fan experience. That's good. Improving New Japan World. I guess many of you want to hear that. Improving the treatment of personal information and New Japan sponsorship. So I have to say I like his plans on that. I give kudos for Tanahashi thinking what the plan is now. Now recently Tam Nakano was on Toll Sports graphic number about that she still has some unsettled business with Mercedes Monet. And this is what she has to say. When I returned from my injury, I took a loss to Aja Kong, and that is really disappointing to me. But since my return, I've put a lot of time into growing Cosmic Angels, improving the talents of the unit's younger members. Even then, I knew I had been beginning to fighting myself. Mercedes Monet used me as a scapegoat, so I want to become the champion and settle things with her once and for all. So if you guys don't know what she's referring to, I'll explain. Apparently, when after losing to Kairi Sane last year in Wrestle Kingdom, apparently Mercedes Monet used that as a way to get in the spotlight. So basically, she's not happy with that. So the real question is when we could happen. I mean, any time could happen. But I was hoping for this to happen when, of course, this is the thing that kind of got my attention. That was thinking before Stephanie Vakir staked her claim that she would challenge Mercedes Monet. I was thinking about Tam Nakano. I think Nakano would have been a good choice also to face at Forbidden Door. I don't know what you guys think. You think that would have been a good choice? I mean, I'm sure it would have been. I don't know about you guys, but we'll see how things will progress. So I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I can't believe I went a little bit more longer on this on the news updates, but it's okay. At least I got everything updated for all of you. So I think it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Dynamite. It's gonna be one hell of a show, and we can't wait what's gonna happen. As you know, I did not actually review last week because I was there, and I want to say thank you to people who actually saw the DWZ at wrestling events, especially to the viewers. I don't know if any of my subscribers actually saw them. Check it out, guys. I actually put the whole thing right there. I'm really happy and thank you for the guys for the views on that one. So there will be views like things like this I will do in the future. If it's with AEW or independent promotions, however it is, I'm gonna keep doing those. But I have to find the right timing and the right place to do so. So as of right now, as I said before, we have AEW Dynamite, and we'll see how that turns up. But as of right now, I will see you guys on the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day.